Never in my days have I read such peak fiction. Thank you to our $5 patrons, Sinners Lancelot, Art Goon, and The Divine Anpu. And a very big thank you to our $25 patron, The Mr. Greed. Now, before we hop into this breakdown on why Blue Lock is just chef's peak personified, if you will, please remember to leave your own thoughts on Blue Lock in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure to hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, do a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Now, let's get into it. What's up, guys? I got a pencil here. Yes, Blue Lock, peak. Yeah, facts. I don't even want to, like, the thing is, right? Blue Lock, there's so many things. Like, they made it start randomly appearing on the channel in maximum. It is taking all of my willpower not to start reviewing Blue Lock weekly. This is record timing, by the way. I picked up Blue Lock one night, and I caught up on 167 chapters. I think it was 167 by the time I was reading it. 167 chapters the same night. By the next morning, I was caught up. I couldn't sleep. I was reading the entire thing. And notably, I gotta stop telling myself, oh yeah, I'm gonna do arc by arc. I couldn't put it down. Legitimately, I simply could not put it down. It was that good. And I think one of the best things, so many things I want to talk about. Let me go over the most general thing first. The art, hold on, who's the artist for Blue Lock? Let me pull their name so I know them. I can quote them directly and correctly. Yusuke Nomura. My word, no, There's good art, there's frenetic art, there's art that captures motion, and then there's peak, and that does all three, and they're very, I'll say, off the top of the domer, I can't think of a bad panel. Notably, if you ask me some of my, favorite series out there, legitimately art-wise, I can pull up a weird panel or two, off the top of my head. And who knows, maybe it's because I've reread those series and I've analyzed their art so deeply that I can pull up bad panels. But off the first reread and a couple, I've reread some arcs already. I finished I caught up a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And I'm already rereading arcs, rereading entire little mini sections because I love it so much. I can't think of a bad panel off the top of my dome. Everything's peak. Everything. The manga art, the volume covers, the coloring, the shading, everything's peak. The dynamic action shots, everything's peak. Everything is amazing about the art. And let me talk about why, right? Because, I could say the manga art is amazing and throw fancy words out, but why does this manga art capture me in comparison to a lot? And notably, here's the thing. This is my first sports anime. Period. Now I have to go read Kuroko no Basket because I heard people saying that's peak too, so I'm gonna have to read it. Notably, I like sports; they're cool and all, but do you see me running a sports channel? Legitimately, do you see me running? Am I reviewing SPN? No, I'm reviewing manga, so it's not my most passion of interest. It's not something I can talk about in depth. However, gosh darn it, I want to go watch some soccer now. Let me go join the league. Let me go back on the field. I used to play rec soccer. Forget that. I'm gonna go be rec soccer. But the reason I like the art so much is because it can tell you so much simply by looking at it. I believe that, the saying, a picture means 1,000 words, right? Or a picture is 1,000 words. However the saying goes, picture, 1,000 words. That's the general gist of the saying. I believe that if you are to be in a truly amazing manga, if you are to truly write peak, I must be able to erase any words you have on a page. I must be able to look at something without any context and simply understand everything. And I know that doesn't make sense, right? What do you mean? You can't expect to have the multiple context. I don't think if there's no dialogue, there's no reason you have no but if I'm not able to discern the emotion or the action or something behind your art, then I feel like it's all right, because I can't do that. And that's a weird thing, right? Because I always have to step back. Because me as a artist, I guess I have to call myself that. I always go back and forth and call myself an artist or just a dude who draws things. But I guess that is a sketch artist. Let's go with that. As a sketch artist, I always have to look at my own art and be like, I'm not peak. Legitimately. And I feel like every artist out there has this understanding. When you see peak, you know it's peak. And then you look at your art, unless you are a peak artist, and even then, the crazy thing is, I bet Yusuke Nomura looks at some of his art from early chapters of Blue Lock and looks at some of it later and is like, I didn't draw a peak. I just failed. Like, I know that because every artist has that within them. Every freak, whether you're a freak artist with insane talent or you're someone who with years and time gets better and grows progressively and slowly, you have those moments where you look back at yourself and you're like, wow. However, from chapter 1 to chapter, hold on, let me pause the video. I lied. There's only 166 chapters out, but still, up to the point where I was caught up to. The thing is, the artistic quality was so high from the first page to the latest that, while I admit, due to me being overly scrutinous, like actually flipping, like right now I'm looking at chapter 1, I'm going to take a quick leap to chapter 166. Like, looking at it, I can see how his art style has developed, and I can see slight changes that make it even more peak. But from day one, chapter 1, Yusuke Nomura's art has managed to tell me everything I needed to know without a word being there. It is that clear. It is that honest. You could take a panel from anywhere in the manga, I'd say, and you would be able to capture that. You would be able to understand the emotion clearly. To someone who doesn't even read manga, like legitimately, I could go up to someone on the street and pull up one of the panels for this manga and be like, "What are they feeling?" And they'd be able to tell me. And that is when you're peak. That is when you're peak. I can't do that. Legitimately, I could probably draw a character crying and you wouldn't be able to tell what they're feeling. But Yusuke Nomura, great at that. So in terms of capturing a narrative within a piece of art, that's what Blue Lock is amazing at. And another thing that Blue Lock's art is amazing with, it's amazing at perspective. And this is a weird thing, and I think this will be a more niche audience that appreciates this. But like, do you ever notice sometimes in manga, perspective will change randomly? Like, legitimately, for some reason, like area consistency and how certain things are viewed in one perspective compared to another, they'll be very weird. They'll be inconsistent. And to be fair, that's not a fault of any mangaka. You have a lot to do as a mangaka. I'll straight up admit it. Like, for a manga artist to do all that they do within the time period that they do, even mangaka that release every 5 months, like legitimately, I don't blame them. If you were to tell me, hey, right now, Pencil, go out and produce a manga weekly, I couldn't. You told me, Pencil, hey, right now, go produce a manga monthly, I couldn't. Produce a manga yearly, I may get you a chapter a year. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I may, if I'm really feeling it, if I'm really feeling it, I may be able to get you a chapter in about a year. I'm not gonna lie to you. But he's like, Yusuke Nomura is doing this weekly. Like, weekly. Like, hold on, let me go back. Let me double check. This is not a monthly manga. We're getting peak every week. Like, come on now. You're telling me that isn't nutty? This isn't crazy? It isn't stupid? Like, the amount of... And back to the reason why that's so impressive to me is the fact that perspective is something that is constantly shifting in manga because you have such a limited time frame to work with it. But what Yusuke Nomura does is he develops a consistent world that throughout its entirety I feel is perfectly solid. And the reason that's so important for something like a sports manga is because of what our main character's ability is. And if anything was inconsistent, it would be all the worse for it. But because everything is so consistent, because you get this full scope understanding of the entire situation through the art, which is again something super difficult to do, everything feels earned. And when everything feels earned, the art complements the story. When the art complements the story, it becomes even more peak. Like, what can I say? It's amazing. And another thing that the art does great, I know I'm going off, but it's because I think it's peak. I can't help it. Blue Lock is so good at designing characters. And you may wonder what I mean. Here's the thing, right? It takes a knack to design characters, especially in the current day and age. And to be fair, there are some people that have raised questions. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when I saw one of the characters, I'm like, Bakugo, is that you, my boy? But the thing is, the coloring changed it, and at the same time, that the detail and definition was different. But the thing is, right, character design is something that personally, heck, I struggle with. And to be fair, I don't create my own manga, but still, like, I like to draw OCs and stuff like that, but it's difficult to do. But every single character in Blue Lock, you look at a character from Blue Lock, you know it's from Blue Lock. Like, there's no general artistic confusion. Like, you know how everyone jokes, like, every isekai protagonist is the same? I concur, for the most part. So, but you take the main character of Blue Lock and put him somewhere else, he's gonna look weird because it's the Blue Lock look, it's the Blue Lock taste. That's what's good. That's amazing in artwork to have your characters stand out, be unique, and look unique. And the thing is, this is a sports manga, a soccer manga at that. You know what the biggest issue with a lot of series that you know what the biggest limitation of a lot of series that ends up making characters look the same and feel samey, or at least in terms of design, it's the fact that they have to wear a uniform. That means one of the best ways you can diversify characters through clothing and fashion design can't be a thing. The very nature of Blue Lock itself, as a sports manga, limits how diverse the designs can be. However, what does Yusuke Nomura do to, like, and I just read on the Blue Lock Wiki, by the way. I just did a quick break to take some research. He was Hajime Isayama's apprentice. What? Yeah, like, no offense to Isayama, but even, like, and to be fair, no, I really do like some Endgame Attack on Titan manga. Like, that is some good stuff. I will admit, it do be smacking a little bit. So, maybe I'll give, but it seems like he was a mentor late. Like, this is, even still, I'd say Blue Lock art is better than at the end of series Attack on Titan art. But regardless, not to clown on Attack on Titan, because I still think the art in there is good. It's just not peak. It's not peak lock. So the thing is, the wonderful thing about what Yusuke Nomura does is he uses everything else to make the characters look unique. And by everything, I mean everything. Like, for not even my artists out there. By the way, the like button is free. You know that? It's great. The subscribe button is free too. Both of these things are on Twitch right now. You can subscribe for free. I'd greatly appreciate it. It helps out the channel a lot if you like and subscribe. I'm sorry. But the thing is, for my non-honest out there, take time. In fact, pause the video, go into the comment section, and tell me what are things you can use to differentiate character designs. I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to peak lock. Some of the things you can use are hair, eyes, facial structure, body structure. Overall, you go into specifics like arm structure, torso structure, leg structure. Heck, you can go into dynamic body movement, how a character stands, what a character's basic pose is. There are a whole ton of things you can go into. And it's like Yusuke Nomura gathered the list of everything he could use to make the characters look different. And did. And notably, Yusuke's also limited to one gender. This is not it's not a unisex manga. There's one prominent, like, unfortunately, if y'all like Sausage Fest, I hate to say it, you don't read Blue Lock, because there is about one major recurring female character, and she shows up like every 15 to 30 chapters. Like, you ain't gonna see her often. But in that case, to fill the gap in between, he has essentially, think of this, right? Think of having all your options halved, right? Like, say I go out and say, you know what, get me a meal, but it can't have any meat. Give me a vegan meal, and I just send you out. What are you going to come back to me with? How are you going to have things? Well, see, food is a weird analogy. What's the thing, right? I have an idea, right? I tell you, okay, go out there and find me every single computer you can find. Every single one. Like, every single major computer from a major manufacturer. And then I add an extra stipulation on top of that. Find me every computer from every major faction. And they have to be different computers. And on top of that, you have 2 options, Microsoft and Apple. But then, as you leave, I call out one more thing. By the way, they can't be any Microsoft computers. What are your options now? I've limited you essentially to one thing. So now you're going to have to go around and find me computers from Apple of different ages, types of designs, all that. Sounds a little difficult, don't it? Now imagine you're a mangaka and you're told, hey, I need you to design upwards of, let's see, what? The first group was 10. So I need you to design me upwards of 40 characters. 40 characters. I'm lowballing right now. 40 characters. And then they all have to be male characters. And they all have to be reasonably built for an athletic sport. Go. Like, can you, and this is a challenge to my artists, by regular people. Do you think if I were to hand you a pen and paper right now, could you do that? Because I can't. I mean, I could, but it just wouldn't be different. You'd see so many overlapping design details and processes there. Because, shoot, I can't do that. But Yusuke Nomura said, okay, went and did that and produced it. Unique characters. And he, like I said, he used everything, and that's amazing. There are characters, like, I'm trying to think, right? I'm mentally scanning. Every character has their own unique look. Even if it's one thing, that one thing is so distinct to them that you aren't going to mistake them for anyone else in series. Like, same face syndrome is something that happens to a lot of manga artists, and it's because once you get to designing so many characters, you have an art style. You just can't help that. You're going to see resemblances, and you could definitely argue there are some. Like, I could technically see an argument for one, like, same face thing, but even then, what's different is the bodily design, and I'd say there are differences even there amongst them. Like, I'm trying. The thing is, I bet you could tell. I'm trying not to go too heavy in the spoilers. I'm just trying to describe peak. But the thing is, whatever character differences or similarities there are, tie into the story and tie into the character thematic things and stuff like that. Their alignments are important to the narrative itself. Instead of Yusuke himself is like. Nomura was just like, you know what, yeah, let's do it. Let's make it like this. That is insane. That is incredible. So, 3 amazing things of art. Frenetic, tells a perfect story on site, amazingly diverse, amazingly just high quality art. All that, amazing, wonderful, great. Now, I just realized I am 16 minutes into the video and I haven't even gotten to the story. Okay. I say this wholeheartedly. As a person who has still yet to read Fairy Tail, because I still haven't gotten through the first chapter. Yes, I'm not kidding. The first chapter bored me that much, and still does. But I'll force my way through it. I'll force my way through it. I have not read such a captivating first chapter in forever. And that's based off the story. And that is, well, half of it is the art. I will admit, the art was peak. It grabbed me. It did snag me by the neck. I'm not going to lie, like, the art wasn't a factor. However, in the same breath, I was actually intrigued. The art will not make it so I can't put a story down. I was very interested in Bleach art. Still took me like 3 weeks to finish that. Bleach is essentially 4 blue locks. Yeah, literally about 4 blue locks. Bleach is literally probably about 4 blue locks. Still took me like 3 to 4 weeks to finish that. By blue lock standards, I should have finished Bleach in 4 days. So, what was it? And I'm not saying Bleach's story is bad or anything like that. Don't get me on that. No, get me on that. But, like, that just goes to show you, if a story can grab me, if these characters, well, I don't want to get into characters yet, but if a story can yank me in like that and make me not want to let go, not want to put it down, and now be on the week by week grind with everybody, and I hate that. That's why I hate reading not completed manga, because I hate the week by, like, part of me loves it because, like, I always have something to look forward to, but at the same time, I sit there waiting for Orient to update like that. It's painful, but in actuality, the story is good because it's so strangely unique. And to be fair, once again, this is my first sports manga. I have no clue about Kuroko no Basket. I have not watched Food Wars. I think that counts as a sport. I think cooking is a sport, or at least a competition type anime. I have not watched Haikyuu. I've not done any of that. I'll readily admit. So who knows? Maybe those stories are peak too, and I need to read them. And to be fair, I've been told Haikyuu is peak multiple times. I've been told I need to read it multiple times, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But my thing with Blue Lock's narrative is that it has twists and turns in its early chapter, so deeply embedded, so well timed, so deeply mixed, like, into the first chapter, that every page was a revelation. Everything was good. Everything grabbed me. And the end of the chapter has one of the best, like, hands down, most amazing twists I've ever seen for a first chapter. It hogtied me and ran. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It said, "Hey, you're coming with me," and I was like, I'll see about that. Maybe I won't be interested in coming with you like that. But no, off the first chapter alone, I had to keep going. I had to keep it pushing. It was simply impossible for me to not. So I did, and it was peak. And that's just the first chapter alone. Like, if you want a grabbing first chapter, you want something that will snag you by the throat and not let you go, first chapter of Blue Lock. I'm going to do a whole, what's bad? When I'm planning and writing a whole in-depth breakdown of the first chapter. But that's just the first chapter. What about the rest of the story? The rest of the story is peak 2. The thing is, I don't want to spoil it. But, like, the anime is coming out. So you kind of get it. But essentially, the competition aspect of Blue Lock is something that can only be supplemented well if the characters are great. And when I tell you, I say that the characters of this Blue Lock just happen to be peak. Like, someone in the comment section, please leave a comment, and the like button is free, and the subscribe button is free too. But someone in the comment section, please, if you want to, count how many times I say peak. If I could get a peak counter down below, that'd be great. But regardless of that, the amazing thing about this manga, if you will, is that all the characters somehow, everyone in this manga has one overlapping goal, and that is at times one of the best things you can do and one of the worst things you can do. Because the thing is, if everyone has the same goal, how do you differentiate the characters, right? Like, the thing is, a lot of people in Naruto wanted to be the Hokage. It was not a unique thing. And sometimes it worked for the benefit of the narrative, and sometimes it made other characters into jokes. It'd be like that, wouldn't it be like that sometimes? Characters with overlapping goals will always have that risk, whether it be a whole group of characters or whether it be just a couple characters. And in a series like Magi, another peak series that I need to talk more about. Numerous characters wanted to be a king of the world, if you will. It really they want to be like that sometimes. You can have goals that overlap, but one of the biggest issues with that is, well, if your goals overlap, how are your characters going to differentiate themselves? And this isn't Yusuke. However, it is a certain someone else. Peak Lock's author, Muneki Kaneshiro, did a great job of introducing these characters that all have one overlapping goal. And like I said, this is not just one small group of characters. This isn't like 5 characters. This isn't 10 characters. Heck, this ain't even 20 characters. This is like 40 different characters who all have literally the exact same goal. However, the backstories, how they reach that goal, the way the character carries themselves, everything else, like essentially the overarching goal is just that. It's a goal in the heavens. But each character has their own specific goal that leads to that goal in the heavens, that makes them unique, that makes them feel powerful, that makes them feel potent. And when I say potent, but potent, it makes them feel rich and unique and permanent and great and peak. Like, the thing is, it's hard to write characters in a way that they all feel important and they all feel unique to themselves. However, Kaneshiro Sensei went out of their way to build all these characters with this specific idea in mind, the specific subsection, whether it is a personality trait, whether it is a skill of theirs, whether it is their home biological function. Everything about these characters has been built to a certain degree, from their backstories to their core modern narratives. Everything is there to make it so that each of these characters feels unique, feels proper, and feels like they are a character. Because here's the thing, right? The biggest issue you can definitely have with what I like to call an ensemble cast is what I like to call the My Hero Academia problem, where every character exists, but due to the very nature of your narrative, they can't have a moment you're going to remember them for. It's just like, it is a physical impossibility. But then I read Peak Lock, and then I realized Horiko, she just writes back. No, I'm kidding, he does write back. But he writes in a way that he has an overt bias towards some characters. I think Blue Lock almost takes a shooting exams approach across the entire manga. Like, let me think. I'm looking at a certain panel right now, and if I can remember, there is a moment I remember from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15. So out of 15 characters on a panel with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So out of 15 out of 18, that's good that I can remember all these characters. And all bit, can't remember all their names, but I remember their moments, and that's mainly what matters to me, right? Like, whenever you have an ensemble cast, I think the Kishimoto approach is the best way to do it. Give a character a moment, give where their character shines, where they succeed, or where they, I guess, fail in such an extreme way that no matter what happens to that character post that, they'll be in the reader's memory. A big issue that I have with manga with huge, massive, gargantuan ensemble cast is that, shoot, I darn forget. Like, what did you do? Oh, I'll look back and I'll be like, oh, you did nothing. You just were introduced. It makes me go like, oh, well, they want to be like this sometimes. I don't remember you and I don't plan to. However, Peak Lock is different. Peak Lock will give you a character, and then within 5 to 10 chapters of that character being introduced, usually less, even less than 5, if a character is given any sort of spotlight of decent extreme, you will know their specialty. You will know how they act. You will know a whole ton about that character. They will have their own unique trait, and depending on how seriously Kaneshiro Sensei wants to take the character, you will know a lot about that character's past. And that is great. Usually, the thing, I'm almost tired. Allow the jaded man to come out. Welcome to that man with a pencil. I'm almost tired of the concept of the main character. The idea that we, in the modern day, need a character that the entire narrative revolves around in order for it to function feels inherently archaic. As if we are back in the times when the books were first being written. It's ancient, archaic, dated. Why bother? However, I will admit, story like Peak Lock, if you will tell you that the like button is free, but it will also tell you the subscribe button is free, and it will also tell you that maybe if you work your main character into a collective ensemble that is at the same time stronger than the main character and on the same level and or slightly beneath, but at the same time all relative, if you put them in a place where they're all equal and it feels like anything can happen because of the power and potency and the nature of these other characters, that's when it gets good. And that's when a main character doesn't bother me. And I'll say, something like Blue Lock makes me appreciate the idea of a main character in a way. Because the main character, it doesn't, like, they drive the narrative in a sense. And the main character will obviously, even in something like Peak Lock, will have moments where they need to be there. And that's fine. But at the same time, Kaneshiro Sensei isn't afraid to make you feel like the main character is not the main character. And that is something that and this is even a me thing, right? Because I write my own narratives on the side. I haven't published them yet, but I'm writing multiple stories on the side, whether they be like some fan stories, whether they be actual just rewrites of other stories I like. Like, it is difficult because sometimes some stories have to be so deeply interwoven into the main character to make them feel like they even exist. Like the title of main character, as much as I think it's archaic, I get why it's a writing tool. It is so much easier to write around a main character, or at least a set of main characters. It is hard to write a world where everyone's equally balanced. But Kaneshiro Sensei is like, it's hard, it's difficult. Not for me. On Peak, come on now. And wrote a world where our main character, while being the main character, still feels like a character in a world with even ground. Feels like a character in a world with superior. Like the saying that there's always someone stronger. There's always someone bigger. There's always someone faster. There's always someone mightier than you. It's very hard to capture that in manga and make it feel real. And what I mean by that is sometimes you sort of run into the Dragon Ball effect. And what I mean by the Dragon Ball effect, I mean it's the issue where, yes, there is always someone bigger and stronger, but just it doesn't feel like they existed beforehand. It doesn't feel like a world that supplemented their existence. It feels like, oh no, they had to be made up. Like, they can be tied in retroactively and with the Dragon Ball effect, but they cannot be. They will almost never feel organic, essentially. However, the way Blue Lock is set up, it logistically makes sense for there to be demons in the world out there that are still stronger, that are still faster, that are still better than our main character. It still makes sense that there are places for our MC and his cast to go. And that's great. And when growth feels organic, it makes a story feel organic. And the more organic and real a story seems, the easier and easier it is to tie into that. To get involved, to feel it, to be alongside the characters, to feel their emotions. And that's great. That is difficult to do. It is insanely difficult to do because of how shoot, it's hard to write an organic feeling story because by the nature of fiction itself, it is inorganic. All these characters are fake. They're on paper. Like, heck, it's easier. Like, there are scales of fiction that you can get involved into, right? Like, there are things that one can do to get more and more involved into a narrative, right? Like, the medium and presentation can help a lot. Like, a movie with live action acting and stuff like that on a human level without any, like, special superpower, CGI, magical effects, that can feel very, very real because it's people. It's you and me. However, imagine you have to strip down from live action to animation. But then you have to strip away the color from the animation. Then you have to strip away the animation from the animation. What do you have then? You have manga. And speaking of manga, you could possibly get Peak out of manga. You can get Blue Lock, which somehow, or nah, I'm sorry, I misspoke, Peak Lock, where you can manage to have all the emotion, all the great juicy burn of real organic storytelling that feels present, that feels active, that feels great. And this is amazing. It's just amazing. And notice I'm speaking in pure generalities. I haven't told you anything. Like, being real, I'm describing why it's great, but I haven't gone into specific detail because I don't want to spoil anything. Go read Blue Lock, please. I'm begging you. And the final thing I will give Blue Lock in terms of a sports manga. Once again, this is my first. All right. You know, I'm not going to say that word, but it is my first, so I will have to say this. One of the main reasons I did not read sports manga was just because it's like, I'm not really sure how I can get into it. Like, how are we even going to do a sports manga? The action in Blue Lock is also peak. Like, I don't even know how you make soccer so visually appealing. Well, I know how, because it's Peak Lock. But in actuality, the action in this manga is so insane because it's what I like to say, it's right beneath superhuman. Like, it's that stuff just beneath. Like, and to be fair, I bet if an actual soccer fan, someone who knew soccer moves, did all this, if they read the manga, who knows? Maybe they have a completely different opinion than me. They may like it more, they may like it less. Who knows? But me, as a person who used to play soccer, so I understand some of it. I do watch soccer on occasion, just because of where I'm from. I do happen to have some level of understanding, even if I'm not too deeply tied into it. I can clearly and gladly say and declare that golly gee willikers, good fella, the action is insane. And what I mean by just below superhuman is that actions that are taken in there are real. These can be performed, but they're so high level that it blows you away every single time someone does something. Even if it's a repeated action, they will evolve it. The action is so frenetic, and it's like the panel feels like it's moving. Like, you know how they have those edits where they like animate manga panels? You don't have to do that for Peak Lock. It moves on its own. You can feel it. The way, like, see, I can't go into specific actions without spoilers. So, that's it. Read Peak Lock. The reason I'm giving you a warning is because Peak Lock analyses are going to pop up everywhere. Whether they be character analyses, whether they be, it's weird to say battle analyses, but they are real battles in this manga. Actually, like, both metaphysically, physically, and literally. Like, there's at least 3 of them. But the thing is, what doesn't seem to click, if you will, what does not seem to click is the fact that everything in this is so amazing that I'm going to have to make countless videos on it. So spoilers will be everywhere. I hope you know. Watch yourself. However, the like button is free, and thank you so much for watching. Please send me your opinion on Peak Lock if you're going to read it. Actually, no. For my people who have read Peak Lock, please be kind in the comments. Don't spoil anything. This is definitely a manga you want to read on your own. This is a story you want to experience firsthand because the twists and turns will literally yank and grab you. But put a little spoiler warning, and then we could talk in the comments. And for my people who haven't read Peak Lock, tell me down below if you're going to read it. Tell me down below if I did a good enough job selling it to you, if you want to read it. I would very much appreciate that. However, that's it. It's peak. I'll say I'm going to give it a rating, but 12 out of 10. It's just that peak. However, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, do got a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with a Pencil, writing off.